All right, let's see what this is. The anonymity of a failed podcast. Tom and Bert.
Two extremely successful comedians, Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer, recently took a 6-week break from their podcast that was already dropping in views. But what happened while they were gone made them realize their entire audience has officially turned on them.
Really?
Comments too. We're not going to save the show.
What took place in their absence was so bad that their comeback
What-
episode was
what
originally
happened?
titled, "We're Sorry We're Back." However,
What?
instead of listening to their fans' reasonable criticism, they ignored it and went right back to doing the same thing that pissed off their audience in the first
What did they
place.
do?
You only have what you have because of fans, so don't talk about us like that. Yeah, but you're still a loser.
Now their podcast is
Oh.
and it's only a matter of time before two of the highest selling comedians in the industry have to shut down their show.
Welcome to the final episode ever of Two Bears, One Cave.
But this was possibly a long time coming, because only a few episodes into Tom and Bert's Two Bears, One Cave podcast, fans were already starting to notice some problems. You have to understand that the dynamic between Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer was originally a perfect match. Tom garnered a diehard fan base online through his podcast, Your Mom's House. One of their legendary ongoing segments was called the Cool Guy Club. Tom and his comedian wife, Christina P., would find bizarre, cringeworthy clips of guys online who had extremely questionable lifestyles, like Robert Paul Champagne, who would publicly request that strangers have sex with him, dox himself, sharing his address and personal information, which Tom and
What?
Christina P. shared with their millions of fans.
What the
You're a
fuck?
hot black guy and you want to fuck me at $23.95. If you want to move in, you can move in, but you gotta fuck me. I need to be fucked a lot, man. Get free food, free rent, and everything else, man. Here's the deal, man. Men from jail.
What?
Or,
I did not know this.
dog, you want to come move in? Your friend can move with you too, man. Free rent, you get a lease and a key. Fuck me. Piss on me, beat me. I'm home now. You see me? You want to come over today and try it out, man?
So stuff like that.
And who is he?
He's that guy. His name is Robert Paul Champagne. He lives in New York. You could visit him when you're home.
Another cool guy was Tony Johns, Utah's most infamous ladies' man.
You know, like deadass though, like breakups are hard, don't get me wrong, ladies and gents, playboys and playgirls. Woo, breakups are hard, but you gotta realize.
What?
I think I auditioned for this.
Tom didn't just laugh at these guys. He committed to the bit in a way that blurred the line between mockery and admiration. He would mimic their voices, turn their words into catchphrases, and talk about them as if they were legendary figures worthy of respect. It was obviously sarcastic, but Tom's ability to both ridicule and celebrate them at the same time made the Cool Guy Club feel less like a roast and more like an initiation into an inside joke that only loyal listeners fully understood. Which is why when Tom and Bert Kreischer announced their Two Bears, One Cave podcast, it was almost like Tom was doing an entire show with a cool guy. Now obviously, Bert was not as bizarre and unhinged as some of these random internet characters.
At this rate, it's probably going to be more like 40.
Okay, no, way too long. Let's see how much you're spending. Download an app called Rocket Money.
Oh, wow. I've got 3 DoorDash accounts? I totally forgot to cancel them.
He was also a popular comedian.
What?
He maintained a fan base of his own through
Weird ass
years
ad,
of
man.
comedy clubs, and of course being friends with Joe Rogan. But to Tom's fans, Bert embodied a lot of that same chaotic energy. Loud, unpredictable, indulgent, and always ready to overshare every embarrassing detail about his life.
I don't think she knows, but I'm doing this thing where I tape my mouth shut at night to sleep because I think it'll stop me from snoring. And last night I just started suffocating. She woke up to someone like I was having a dream.
Like that? And you're like, at least I'm not snoring.
Oh, help me! Help me, get it out of my mouth!
Tom and
What?
Bert's most viral moment was only 36 episodes in when Bert admitted that he drinks 2 massive jugs of Kool-Aid every day. It caught Tom so off guard.
Massive
that he
jugs of
screamed
Kool-Aid?
from laughter.
You're drinking Kool-Aid to start your day? Really?
It's so good.
What kind?
Red. Kool-Aid is awesome. It really is awesome.
I have not drank Kool-Aid in a while, dude.
Pour a little something for yourself. It's watered down. It's not too bad.
You really drinking
Ice
Kool-Aid?
cold. It's ice cold. Yeah.
You are drinking Kool-Aid.
Yeah. It's awesome.
You're drinking 64 ounce.
Dang.
You know, people walk around and
Wha-
they're like,
Bert lives like how a kid would imagine being
Oh my
adult is
God.
like. Basically, the appeal of the podcast was Tom being the sharp, quick-witted observer who thrived on irony. Now, Bert was the sort of goofy, idiot, lovable best friend at first, but it quickly turned into him being insufferable. But first, as I've gotten older, I sometimes think it's time to start taking my own health a little more seriously. I have a handful of different symptoms that I try and self-diagnose online instead of doing the right thing and going to a professional. That's why I was so really funny, but the podcast has felt stale for some time now. It seems like at some point they really started focusing on Bert's idiosyncrasies, which, don't get me wrong, can be funny, but it's pretty much the same thing every week.
Oh, like the same show every week?
I
Yeah.
feel myself getting annoyed by Bart and whatever zany thing he's doing this week. At the time, this was the minority opinion. Fans weren't looking for anything special. They found a level of comfort in just listening to two old friends play off each other and have one unserious conversation after another. The hate for Bert on this subreddit is ridiculous. Agreed, some of the guests have been pretty good, but I'm usually bored with them towards the end of the episode. Bert and Tom have chemistry that doesn't get old in my opinion. And even though a majority still loved the pod, it only took a few episodes to realize how mind-numbing Bert's screechy laugh was.
Where do you think you would hit her?
What? What? Oh, that could be very annoying. That could be very annoying, dude. Nah. That could be very
The audience
annoying.
was slowly turning on Bert, admitting that Tom was the only reason they would tune in every week. Bert Kreischer has been a comedian for decades. He is often criticized for being sort of a one-trick pony, because he constantly tells the same story about traveling to Russia when he was a college super senior, allegedly befriending the Russian mafia, drinking enough vodka in front of the guys to impress them, and referring to himself as the Machine.
The second the door opens and I'm face to face with a real Russian gangster, he just looks at me and goes, "Storm!" And everything I planned on saying flooded out of my head. And all I said to him, "I am the Machine."
However, Bert's silly drinking stories turned into genuine concern from Tom and the fans, suggesting he may have a problem.
About 3 days where he'll have, 6 to 8 drinks, and then 3 days where we're talking about usually 12 to 18 drinks, right?
Oh my goodness.
Is there any side effects with that? Anything
Well,
happening?
there's a name for it. It's called alcohol use disorder. But a name alone doesn't tell the whole story. Bert, listen, we love you. I've never met you in person, but the world loves you. Like, don't need it.
This guy, I mean, it's wild that he's alive.
Theo Vaughn even tried to have a serious conversation with him about it, but Bert is notorious for justifying his actions.
Oh yeah, he excuses it, moves on, time moves on.
No, I've run it through the ringer a few times. Dr. Drew's my litmus, and I've talked to him about it. He's like, "You're not an alcoholic. You just drink too much." He's like, "Alcoholism's different. Being powerless to alcohol is different than drinking a lot." I drank a lot yesterday, and I woke up in the middle of the night in a sizzle. I mean, I was so hot, and all of a sudden, my body went and poured sweat.
Oh.
Back to sleep.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Like almost like when a truck stops and it's like.
It woke me up. I was so hot.
Bert, I'm not an alcoholic. Also, Bert, I got drunk yesterday and woke up shaking with night sweats. Him making rules about drinking, like not drinking on a Monday or Tuesday and not drinking on planes, is exactly something an addict does. We make rules for ourselves to make us feel like we have control over it.
Then I'm not an alcoholic. People have asked me that so often, and I go, no. And they're like, really?
I think that you've told me directly that you think you have a problem.
No, I have a problem with everything. Food, with sex. Like, I everything. I have a problem with everything. That's just my personality. Dr. Drew kind of analyzed me, and he was like, you're not an alcoholic, but you definitely drink too much.
At first, Bert's drinking fit his life of the party persona. He even does all of his stand-up performances with no shirt on. But Bert constantly talking about alcohol went from funny to uncomfortable to listen to.
Came out weird.
There's addicts and there's partiers. Partiers stop when the party's over.
Yeah.
And then addicts just never stop.
That's true.
I was like, oh yeah, I stop when the party's over.
Now, it's one thing to occasionally laugh at a story about drunken chaos in college, and it's another to see a 50-something-year-old man literally romanticize drinking alcohol.
Come on in and get a drink. And I was like, no.
Hold up. Alana in Texas just placed the dreamiest
God damn it, ads!
Snickerdoodle, original, and French vanilla. Dessert vibes.
I was like, God damn it, man. If this was any other day, I'd be like, oh, yeah. And I just double Tito's soda, big glass, no lime. Can I get a second one? I'm just going to murder this one real quick.
It started looking like self-destruction playing out in real time. Bert was
we made a video about this already.
Puffy and red, and listening to him complain about it was not entertaining, it was sad.
And then you look at pussies like me who wake up at midnight and then take more NyQuil because they don't want to sit with their thoughts. I mean, I look at like men. I am so far from a man. I am so far from a man. Like, I'm so far from like a man, right? A man who goes, everyone else first, then me. It's not how I think. I go, me, and then, oh, there are other people here?
The podcast turned into almost an intervention, with even their fan base expressing concern, which was honestly pretty wholesome. It's nice to see that fans genuinely wanted to see Bert get better, and to their surprise, he eventually announced to everyone that he was going to get sober, but only for 23 days.
I'm going sober for 23 days.
What happens tomorrow that you're going for 23? Why?
I mean this heartfelt. When we started this, the sleuths who were like, he's talking about Bert, and I read the comments, and they weren't hurtful. They were like people concerned, and I was like, if that's how people are seeing me, that's not how I want to be seen.
Then after 3 weeks, he said this.
Day 21, no booze, no sugar, no carbs, and I feel fantastic.
More energy, thinking clearly, not feeling hungry. He said his where he didn't have to take his medication. Bert was shocked at how good his life.
Like, here's the thing. I actually been that way too, because I remember late at night, I used to go to Jack in the Box or AM PM, get the corn dogs, chips, fast food and stuff like that. Ever since I stopped doing that, I've been sleeping better. I've been even though it's like 3 o'clock in the goddamn morning, and even though I was a little bit sick today, I still have a lot of energy because I eat a lot better. Don't get me wrong, I obviously do eat my bad days, right? When I was like, oh, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna get some McDonald's or something like that, right? But for the majority of my day that I eat, I drink my protein, I eat fruits, sometimes vegetables, not all the time, but I should eat more vegetables to be honest. And then also I every other day or so I make my smoothies, like the super food smoothies, right, with all this stuff, nutrients and everything kind of thing. But ever since I've been doing it, I've been having a lot more energy. That's why I've been able to do things that I've been doing or finish the things I've been doing. Now, is everything all perfect? Obviously, with my sleep, it's still messed up. Don't get me wrong, but I still have energy to do this, to do a lot. I'm not forcing myself to stay awake and all that kind of stuff. There are times where oh yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna go to bed, right? I will do that. I will from now on, every time if it's a streaming day, but I'm extremely tired, I'm not up for it, I will just go to sleep now. I don't force myself to do that anymore. I used to do that back in the day, but not anymore. I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm not gonna do that to myself, right? But yeah, it is phenomenal when you start eating less sugar, less carbs, less fat, all that kind of stuff. Oh man, life is so much better.
Could be. I'm down 40 pounds. I haven't had alcohol or sugar in 83 days. I've been primarily carnivore. That all ends today. Despite all this great news and all of the positive effects of getting sober, Bert decided to celebrate his sobriety by getting absolutely hammered on the Fully Loaded cruise.
So dumb.
This was a multi-day long private cruise / comedy show that he spent 1 year planning. At some point, the fan base just stopped feeling bad for someone who clearly doesn't want to.
Because he did it to himself. Yeah, he did it to himself.
That wasn't insane enough. They launched their very own vodka brand, which
oh my god,
incentivizes Bert to literally never put down the drink. On top of that, Bert had this chronic habit where he needed to cut people off, talk about himself, and then laugh loudly for minutes on end. Just look at Tim Dillon sitting there sober, listening to Bert's fake laugh, and genuinely looking like he wanted to leave the room as soon as possible.
I would have left too.
Just to give you an idea, I mean, yeah, man. Well, thanks for having us over. I appreciate it and all the caviar. You're fine. It's all good. We had a good. This was nice.
Do you smell toast?
No.
I wish we had toast. Jesus. Jesus Christ.
Unfortunately, Bert loves himself too much to ever realize how annoying he can be when he talks and laughs in conversations with others. They are kind of opposites. Tim is highly authentic, even painfully so, whereas everything Bert does is contrived. Now, a couple years into the pod, for many, Tom Segura was the
This
only
is annoying.
race for Two Bears, One Cave.
Yeah, that's so annoying. The laugh is so annoying, dude.
That was about to change. Tom went through some radical life transformations and started to lose the appeal he once had as a comedian. He got in shape, moved to Austin, and became unfathomably wealthy, which
Wow.
to longtime fans, it brought out the worst in him. Tom's self-deprecating, slightly unpolished comedic style was replaced by an unrelatable rich douche. And
Oh, right. I remember that.
Anymore. When Tom Segura first started getting famous in the comedy world, his style was completely different from the Tom we see today. If he wasn't pointing out his weight or talking about what he does in a hotel room in his spare time, he just presented himself as a regular.
Pretty much, like, I've noticed this with some people, even the streamers. There are people that lose a lot of weight and get a brand new set of confidence. Their true personality comes out, and it could be more humbling or it could be more douchebaggy. Like they become more douchebags. Like I've seen that time and time again. It's happened multiple times, but it's because they're more confident with themselves. They could be who they want to be now more than ever. So I think that's what happened with him. He just became more of a douchebag because now he could be. He's more rich. He's skinnier. He could do more whatever he wants now. And so yeah, he's become more of a big douchebag. Character or not character.
Guy, avoiding attention by any means necessary.
I used to wear hats a lot. You can't wear a hat anymore, not if it has an athletic logo on it. Because some strange man that you've never met before will take you on a conversation to nowhere.
But after he ruptured his patellar tendon and fractured his humerus after jumping less than 1 foot off the ground, he realized he desperately needed a fitness transformation. Now, there is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to improve your health. The fans had been begging Bert to do the same for years, but it started to consume his personality. When Bert wasn't available for the podcast, Tom was bringing on athletes and powerlifters like Mark Bell, which some fans admitted was still better than listening to Bert, whereas others wondered if this was even a comedy podcast anymore. I have no interest in weightlifting or bodybuilding, but this was still a fascinating conversation.
Well, yeah, it's not
over the ramblings of Bert.
It's a different podcast, yeah.
These dudes are pals, but all of these fitness guys are a serious snooze fest. At the same time, the Two Bears were exploding in fame and financial success. Tom landed multiple Netflix specials, Ball Hog in 2020, followed by Sledgehammer in 2023, cementing him as one of the biggest comedians of this era. His ticket sales skyrocketed, selling out arenas all over the country. He moved his family into a $6.5 million Austin mansion down the river from Joe Rogan, bought luxury cars, and much of his humor was now centered around his wealth. Tom and Bert shared sweet stories about how they convince each other to buy expensive things because they deserve it.
Tom sends me a very heartfelt text. Hey man, you're busting your ass on the road. You work nonstop. You're gone 2 weeks at a time. You have 2 podcasts. It goes on in like this really heartfelt text. You deserve to treat yourself every now and then. This is an affordable treat. Do it for yourself. And so I go back. I buy the watch. Next day, I'm sitting and having coffee, looking at the watch, going, God damn it, I love this. I really love looking at it. It cheers me up. And I call Tom. I said, hey man, I appreciate you sending me that message. Leanne tried to convince me and I wouldn't do it, but your message meant so much to me. He's like, oh cool. I go, what are you doing? He goes, well, you know, I sent you that message and I realized that shit applies to me too. I'm in a Rolex store. I'm buying a new Rolex. Wow. He bought a new Rolex the next day.
Yeah. And if this was all it was, anybody criticizing Tom would just look petty and jealous. Most reasonable people agree that success should be celebrated. Being healthy and wealthy is the ultimate goal for the average American. However, Tom took it a bit too far when he started lecturing his audience on their broke mentality.
Every time we talk about like a watch or a car, I'll get a bunch of messages from losers that try to tell me that I'm making them feel bad about their situation. You're in control of your own situation and your own feelings. So don't put it on me that you feel bad, that I have something that, oh, but I'm struggling with rent this month. Figure it the fuck out, okay? Like, don't make my life be a problem for your life. If you don't.
Yeah, so smart of attacking your audience and making them pissed off. Like, I like, there are things I understand people just want to say and stuff like that. Because some people could get annoying, like, bro, your problems are not my problems, kind of thing. With it, to a certain extent, I get that, But it's like, bro, you're a podcast. You are an entertainer. You got to be even like if you're a complete asshole like that, completely, you didn't start it that way, and you just do a whole 360. Don't be surprised you lose your audience. Like, just don't be surprised. Which I guess that did happen with our podcast.
Don't like it, guess what? You're not going to be able to control what people talk about. People are going to talk about things that you don't have for the rest of your life. So you can decide like, okay, I won't fine, don't listen to me, don't listen to that person anymore, but you have to control your own feeling. It's not on other people to make sure they don't talk about a topic that makes you feel bad. All right, like I lost 20 grand gambling this weekend.
There was absolutely no comedy in this message. That was an honest confession of how he feels.
If you're still mad about this, just know that it's your mindset and you're thinking like a loser, but you don't have to. You can change the way you think, but you have to accept the way you're thinking right now is not going to.
Look at people did subscribe for a comedy podcast. This guy's a fucking dumbass for this.
You can change that.
It's a comedy podcast. Where's the comedy?
You only have what you have because of fans, so don't talk about us like that. Yeah, but you're still a loser.
Now, if Tom just went back to his typical comedic style, this could have easily been seen as just a joke. However, he seemed to be getting a kick out of making fun of poor people.
So today's the day. I've got my RTA mock system and Coyote appliances.
People, which was extremely noticeable when he ranted on his podcast about using a washcloth, making a joke about it being a quote-unquote black thing, only to correct himself and just say it's for poor people.
Well, did you try it even yet?
No, I'm not going to do it.
Well, you're just anti
I'm not
leg
black.
washes.
I'm not going to wash my legs and feet.
You think that's just a black people thing?
Clearly.
Well, and he's
the only one here who washes his legs and feet. No, I don't think it's a black thing. I think using a washcloth is for poor people, but I don't think that washing your legs.
I agree. I think the washcloth is a poor person thing.
I've only met poors who use them.
And after getting a ton of backlash, he seemed to lean in even harder, posting a video on Instagram mocking his critics for judging his preferences and telling them they were just too poor to understand.
So I've received a remarkable number of messages over the last few days from just countless poor people about the use of a washcloth in the shower. And, it's kind of well known. It's what poors do. And I made this comment on a podcast, and so many people are upset. I mean, really, really upset about it. And I get it. It's part of their lifestyle or something. So I'm in a hotel. I decided I'm going to go for it. So I'm going to take a shower.
Wow.
Use a washcloth, and I'll report on what happens when a wealthy person uses a washcloth. All right?
As if it couldn't get worse, critics started pointing out that he was born into an upper middle class family and didn't really deserve to be gloating about how much he achieved with a safety net sitting right underneath him. Tom was raised rich by a successful guy. Him and Bert, who was raised by a rich lawyer and went to college for 7 years.
Oh, what the fuck, dude?
They are normal dudes. These guys blow. It is true that Tom's father, also named Thomas Segura, worked for Merrill Lynch for 41 years, which is a global leader in wealth management and investment banking. Tom has mentioned a few times that he used to be broke, which made his success something to cheer for. His fans love the idea of a comic grinding in small clubs, scraping by, and finally breaking through against all odds. But he wasn't exactly clawing his way out of poverty. He grew up with a financial safety net that most aspiring comics could only dream of. That doesn't erase the hard work Tom put in, but it does kind of muddy up the story. To fans who once believed they were watching and supporting an underdog rise, his lectures now look more like a privileged kid who managed to get even richer. Once he started with the on the poor stuff, I stopped watching anything with him in it. I don't understand why anyone other than rich assholes would think someone being poor is funny. Tom became so wealthy that he couldn't seem to handle most minor inconveniences, and when a staff member at American Airlines made him gate check his bag, Segura absolutely lost it on Twitter. Dumb CUNT from American Air made me gate check my bag so she feels the little power she has in her life. I get it. You win this round, C-word. Well, your whining sounds like she made the right call. Minor inconveniences. Oh, the horror. All the poors and losers have the same response. Oh, you were inconvenienced. Well, you should accept it. That's what me and my dumb poor family have done for generations.
What?
This is why you're a poor. Tom deflected any criticism by just responding, poor. The lowest
What an
level
idiot,
poors get
man.
upset as they
Bro, all right.
Been trained to do. When you point out their happy to do what I'm told servant mentality, they don't value time because their time is worthless. You are specks of shit on a washcloth, and washcloths belong in the trash. Now, to be fair, this is just text on a screen, so it is hard to interpret the tone or understand if there was any humor involved in these tweets. After reading it a couple of times, it's hard to see it as anything other than a rich guy just being an asshole. And this was a tipping point for many of Tom's long-term fans. Even the ones who thought his running pores gag was funny, they saw this Twitter rant as kind of a meltdown where he went too far. And all of this gloating about money, complaints about working-class Americans, and pushing back against anyone criticizing him made the once down-to-earth comedian become the very thing he hated. And to see just how much his finances became a part of his identity, when Tom did a podcast with Joe Rogan, most of the comments were about money. Is this video wage restricted? My net worth is way too low to watch this. The pores were here. Now, if this was all just some internet podcast drama and it hadn't actually impacted their comedy, it would have been easy for fans to get over it. But once Tom and Bert got the chance to perform at the roast of NFL legend Tom Brady, it just felt like another mediocre bit from their podcast.
Oh, really?
Who takes this picture? Was he pregnant? This gayest shit I've ever seen.
These vodka salesmen are having a hard time reading the teleprompter. This was, by far, the least funniest thing from the night. Fall from grace. They're done. By 2025, most of the original fan base of Two Bears One Cave had checked out. View counts dropped over 70%, going from 800,000 average viewers to just over 200,000. Most people
that's bad, yeah.
And only made podcasts every week because it was an easy way to make money. But feeling that it was unnecessarily stressful, Tom convinced Bert to take time off for 6 whole weeks while they went on tour to focus on their new vodka brand and stand-up comedy. YMH Studios hired Stavros Halkias and Chris DiStefano to temporarily host the podcast. And this decision horribly backfired in a way that Tom and Bert could never have imagined. From
They
the
like
very
them
first
more?
episode together, Stavros and Chris reminded the audience that a podcast is much better when comedians make a legitimate effort to be funny. Instead of Bert's constant denial about his health and bragging about his hollow fitness goals, Stav and Chris were full of energy and showed genuine interest in the conversation. And both of them even admitted that they saw the podcast was failing and they couldn't stop the ship from sinking.
Listen, guys, we're excited to do this, but we know what you know. We read the comments too. We're not going to save the show.
The
show's absolutely
This is like when
done.
a marriage is failing, so you adopt 2 fun children. You know what I mean?
Stavi and I are like the 2 cool Vietnamese kids that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie month before they got divorced.
The Two Bears fan base clearly did not miss Tom and Bert. They may have not even known that they were gone, because Chris and Stav got more views than Tom and Bert had received in years. First Two Bears episode I've clicked on in years. The first 5 minutes already has surpassed the last 2 years of this show. This was great. Tim and Bert, please never come back. Not only were Stav
Damn.
better jokes, but the audience's hatred for Bert's delusions and Tom's ego was so strong that Chris and Stav were saving the show by simply roasting Tom and Bert every chance they got. And Tom and Bert's producers actually went out of their way to help the boys do it.
Oh no!
That's insane that he's saying that.
I'm hotter than Leanne.
He's hotter than he thinks he's hotter than his wife.
Through some
Cock.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
my chick is wholesome. Yeah, I look like such a nice girl.
Jesus.
You're the
way
one
too
who's like,
big.
come with me.
Oh.
I'll show you how to get a man. That's what it looks like.
In the following weeks, Stav and Chris's dynamic was so good that fans begged for them to stay. But unfortunately, that wasn't going to happen. They joked about not even wanting to do the show at all, and Chris even admitted that he wanted to intentionally sabotage the show by spending the last 5 minutes giving Stav a massage.
Don't start getting feelings for
No,
us.
here's how-
We're not sticking
We're
around.
not sticking around. Here's how committed we are to making sure this episode is awful. We want you to stick around to the end because the last 5 minutes, I'm going to gonna massage Stavi.
This is not a joke at this point. This podcast is 1,000 times better with these two. This is exactly what this podcast needed to become a totally different podcast. By the last episode, Chris and Stav were more comfortable than ever. They honed in on what the audience wanted and were spending most of their time messing around and criticizing the dynamic between Tom and Bert. Chris compared Stav's purple shirt to Bert's alcoholic liver and how they just share information.
Damn.
Family members would have liked to keep a secret.
Yeah, by the way, you do look nice in that purple shirt, which is probably the same color as Bert's liver.
But at this point, Stav and Chris were counting the minutes until the show was over. They even made a surprise phone call to Bert Kreischer, and somehow he managed to bomb over the phone on his own podcast. They basically asked Bert what they should talk about.
Your iPhone 17 needs our most advanced mouse case ever with the most advanced camera control.
About on the podcast, and Bert's suggestion was so terribly unfunny, yet somehow Chris and Stav turned it into an actually decent joke.
Because I like when you guys break down other comics. That's always been fun for us. You know, Tom and I have a vodka, but Joe's diversified himself so much that I think having a vodka is just hack these days, that you need to have a real brand based on the comic. So I was going to have you go through a list of comics and say really what their fans would buy based on who they are.
Okay.
Like,
What?
Sam.
Oh, here comes the laugh.
Yeah, but what could he really sell to people based on his dull personality?
Maybe a wax kit.
A wax kit.
A wax kit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What would his fans that go, oh yeah, that is what I love about Sam?
Yeah, he could sell like Knicks jerseys to special needs kids. Yeah.
Ultimately, the bit felt like a sad conversation with a drunk dad rather than a back and forth with a professional comic. And sadly, the 6 weeks flew by extremely fast, and it was time for Chris and Stav to pack up and head home.
Damn.
Happened. The past 6 weeks, I
Damn.
watched more Two Bears, One Cave than I have in the previous year. When Bert and Tom returned, it was like the life was sucked out of the room. Despite them taking a much-needed break, they came back with low energy. In fact, no energy. Just
What was the point then?
It seemed like they didn't even want to be back. From the very beginning of the return episode, Tom seemed to realize that the replacement might have been a mistake, cracking a couple of jokes for the disappointed audience.
Welcome to the final episode ever of Two Bears, One Cave. It was a blast while it lasted, and we're here to sign off. We thank Stavi and Chris DiStefano for taking over. We know you enjoy them, and you will continue to enjoy them. Bert, good to see you.
Good to see you. Did you watch any other episodes?
I would watch I saw parts of it. I didn't.
You don't watch any fucking podcasts.
To give Bert the benefit of the doubt, he talked about how he watched every single episode with Chris and Stav and thoroughly enjoyed it as a fan. Tom, on the other hand, didn't watch any of the episodes of his own podcast and, quite frankly, seemed like he just didn't care. Before Tom and Bert took their 6-week break, they were averaging a little over 200,000 views per episode. Stav and Chris nearly doubled their view counts during their substitution, and now that Tom and Bert are back, they haven't even cracked 200K. It seems like the audience heard what a comedy podcast was supposed to be like and realized that Tom and Bert just don't got it anymore. Near the end of their comeback episode, all you're watching is dead air, with Tom and Bert picking up their phones and talking about later plans.
Let's see.
What?
I heard you and the fat guy are coming down to the show.
What?
Yeah, he's just hope to see you. Excited for it.
I think it's time to wrap it up, boys.
Yeah, they're over it. They're over it.
Turn on comedians, especially since they usually have some of the most loyal fan bases.
Well, I mean, the comedians are
podcast duo can be with Chris and Stav.
Those comedians are over it. They're over it. Yeah, they're over it. Yeah, they're over it. Yeah.
That they maybe should pack it up. Yeah. Will they actually end the podcast? Probably not. Well, that is until they've decided they've made enough money from it.
Of course. I mean, yeah, dude, that was like cringe, bro. That air cringe, dude. Yeah, I think I mean, also, let's be honest, once you get old enough and you're like, why are we doing this podcast anymore? We no longer need the money. We are well made. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? If you're doing something for the sake of money only, eventually that's gonna burn out and you're like, I don't feel like doing this shit no more. I'm not offended at Tom is rich comedian. I'm offended he's unfunny rich comedian. Tom is a perfect example of how you can be incredibly rich while always successful with a bunch of influential friends and still be a huge, whiny, insecure loser. I mean, that is, it is, I think it does drive insecurity. Like, keep talking about, like, like other people being poor or not have as much money as you, I think it's like, damn, dude, how much insecurity do you have to keep doing that? Um, Reminder that Tom Sawyer was born into wealth and unironically refers to people below him as poor. Yeah, that's some nepo bullshit. Saying Bert Kreischer is a comedian is like saying George Clooney is a